Alright, bottom node, Astral Drift. This also has a permanent support in play. On the player side, you have at the beginning of your opponent's turn, your creatures gain Can't Block and Hexproof until end of turn. When you activate your third loyalty ability, you may exile each non-token creature you control. If you do, return those creatures to the battlefield with their reinforcements. Then your creatures get +2/+2. So on this side, your creatures will gain Hexproof, and then Greg will have a hard time destroying them. But what's hard about the bottom node is the permanent support which you had on top, which was Time Walk. The enemy gets this. When you make your first match during your turn, gain an extra swap. When you activate your third loyalty ability, shuffle the last card from your hand into your library, then draw a card. That card gains full mana. So your opponent will get 2 turns every turn, which can get ugly. And you need to really pay attention to the gem matches that you're making and what you're going to be giving to him, on top of all of the extra removal that you're going to need because he's going to be playing way more cards than you. Plus, on top of that, we also have the top support of this one right here, where at the end of each player's turn, if this support is reinforced 12 or more times, it loses all of its reinforcements, then all cards in each player's hand gain full mana, and each player gains 30 loyalty. We also have that on top of that as well every 6 turns. Alright, for the objectives, for the bottom node, we have win the fight against your opponent. Veteran, cast 3 or more creatures, would cost 11 or more. Loyalty, activate a Planeswalker ability 2 or more times during a single fight. Just taking a look at the decks I have put together for the bottom node, if you have just started playing, I would run Nissa 1, the Origins Nissa, with something like this. We've got Conclave Naturalist to destroy supports. Both the other creatures, the Oakheim Adversary and the Keeper of the Fables, are to draw cards. And then we have Nissa's Pilgrimage to convert gems. Same thing with Omen of the Hunt, and that also fetches us a land, which will fetch the Yavimaya Coast. And then we have Gather the Pack to help us fetch creatures and help us hit the objective that way. And then we have Mantle of Webs, which you can use to give reach to your creature, and then you can use Nissa's second ability to buff him when you play this, and then that will give you a big blocker. And then we have Kenrith's Transformation, which is, it's kind of like the best, like, cheaper removal that green has to offer all by itself. It just gives your opponent a 3/3 elk creature, and then it also helps with card draw on top of that. It's not super great, but it's not bad either. What Ram Through, which is kind of like a fight mechanic. It will just deal damage equal to the power of your creature. And then if you have a little bit better collection, I would recommend Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I think white is super important on both top and bottom nodes, or some type of control. White has the most amount of control in it right now, and black has the most amount of removal in it. So I think either black or white on either both nodes are super safe. For this we have Hixus Prism Warden, which will disable all of the creatures. And then we have Ondu Inversion as our board wipe. I went with this one. If you don't have this one, you could go... I know blue has Displacement Wave for Origins, but it doesn't remove supports. But I'm pretty sure that there is another one in white. I will go look at it real quick. We want... make sure we get all standard cards here. I know it's a rare. Shatter the Sky. Right here. Destroy each creature on the battlefield. This one also doesn't hit supports. So the Ondu Inversion is a little bit better because this will wipe everything off the board, which is why I went for that one. We have Knight of the White Orchid, which he is a blocker, but the main reason I'm using him is because he converts gems to white, which will go with the Ondu Inversion and the Bright Climb Pathway on top of that. And then we have my favorite card for this event, which I run it in both of my decks, is Archon of Emeria. So is what you do is right before the turn, if you have this card, right before turn 6, is what you do is you'll get your hand filled, play your hand out, and then drop this card right here. And then that will give Greg a full hand, and then he will only be able to play one card. Now this also counts for you too. So you have to make sure that you play it properly, or you will majorly affect your gameplay. You need to make sure that it gets dropped after you play your hand. You don't want to play it before, because then you won't be able to play your hand either. And then you have Vitality Hunter, which he's just in there for some lifelink to be able to survive a little bit. And I really like Idyllic Range, just because not only of the conversion to white, but also for the +2/+2 ability that you could put on the Orchid up here, and then make him a 6/6 blocker with First Strike. I really like that a lot. And then we have two types of removal. We got Mythos of Snapdag, which is my favorite removal in white, just because of the 6 mana cost. And then I really like Inscription of the Insight for blue, because it returns both of the first creatures to your hand. So as what happens is Knight of the White Orchid will come down, and then he will convert to 5 gems, and then you play the Inscription of the Insight right here, and that will bounce the Orchid, come back, and then you could play him again the next turn, and then convert 5 more gems to white. I really like that. You can really get a lot of conversion off of simple little combos like that. And then we also have Staggering Insight for card draw and for the lifelink on top of that. And then if you have every card in your disposal, I would run Karn, because he has access to white, being that it's you can use whatever color you want. So I've got Ruinous Ultimatum as the board wipe. And then Otrimi, the Ever Playful, to mutate with either Urza, which is our gem conversion, or Kogla the Titanape. And he works as creature removal, and he will also destroy artifacts and enchantments on the board. And then you mutate him, and then once you mutate him, he'll throw creatures into the graveyard and then put them in your hand for free. And then next turn you'll be able to cast them. So he really just speeds up any type of cast objective. And then I've got Thassa to bounce Urza. Nylea Keen-Eyed right here. We'll just put all the creatures into our hand. And then we have Archon of Emeria for the perma support on the field. And then I'm running both, which is why I like Karn. We have both Mythos of Nethroi and Mythos of Snapdax for creature removal. And then I also have Staggering Insight in here as well for the lifelink and the card draw on top of that. And that's it for this weekend's Coalition event. I hope this helps everybody.